friends, well-wishers, and supporters. Here, of course, for this auspicious event to launch what is going to be one of the most well-known past student associations across the island. You and I know this is true. No, feel free, feel free. So, of course, we're launching the Past Students Association for the first primary, junior high, and infant school. The school motto, utmost for the highest, and it's indeed a jewel among the Region 5 schools in South Manchester. Every vibrant school, as we know, needs a vibrant alumni association, and folks, that's why we're here. So we want to celebrate with a group of dedicated past students who are committing their help and support to take New Forest to the next level. Our past student association motto, as you learned tonight, is honoring the past, shaping the future. And tonight you'll meet the teams who are charged with fulfilling this mandate. So, however, before we start, we must invoke the Lord's presence, and to do this, I'm going to invite Conrad Bent to join me up here. He's Vice Principal of the afternoon shift, and he's going to lead us in prayer. Conrad?
Shall we pray? Dear God, O Heavenly Father, we thank you for the privilege of gathering in this fashion.
And driven are a few words that anybody who knows her well would use to describe her. Daughter of the parish and supporter of her alma mater, as anyone who's been approached to buy a block or attend this event can attest to. Past student of New Forest and, of course, Bishop Gibson High. I now invite Mrs. Tricia Williamson to welcome.
Thanks, Anna. You know, it's rare that I'm speechless, but you're right. Everyone knows Trisha. I begin by acknowledging my CEO, Barry O'Brien, and Mrs. O'Brien. I see here from Digital Foundation, led Chairman Lisa Lewis, Mrs. Sharon Anderson, our acting principal for the great institution, New Forest Primary, Junior High, and Infant School. I see friend as well, Pamela Redwood. I see loads of not only friends here, but well-wishers, members of the media, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. A very welcome. Good evening, all. Welcome to you all to what I deem a historic event. Tonight is indeed the launch of the Past Student Association for New Forest. I can't, and I did actually, because where do I work? I have access to internet, and I've tried and I go, and I am not seeing any other any primary or junior high having a past student association. So I'm telling you something, we're registered, we have a constitution. This is historic, ladies and gentlemen. Past Students Association, as we have all seen, we have seen their work, and they play a very important role in that public-private partnership for education in Jamaica. The government of Jamaica cannot do it alone. And this is the most effective way of us contributing to education in Jamaica. Allow me to share a few active associations that we hope to emulate. I begin with Campion College. Through their association, they have recently opened a state-of-the-art library. We all hear about the Jonathan Stewart Library. There's also the Radley Reed Chemistry Lab. I then go up a little bit more, the Great Jamaica College. Recently, they had the con of the Hendrickson Auditorium. Allow me to go closer to my hometown. How could I not talk about, be fair, the Great Monroe College? The largest auditorium in Jamaica, Richard B. Roper Auditorium. And I'd like to share also that the windmill at Monroe, which sells electricity to JPS, was installed by the Old Boys Association. Let's look at Homo Technical. That is a school that recently has been in the news, but also think about it. Their association, they do a lot of fundraiser and they put a lot into track and field. And we know what's coming up very soon. And as a matter of fact, schools do also, and they also purchase buses for the schools. I'd like to also note other schools by talking about one that's also dear to me, Bishop Gibson High. There's Manchester High School. There's school. There's Kingston College, to be fair. But let's not outdo the great Calabar College. And I see our minister coming in, so I'd like to also acknowledge St. George's College. And ladies and gentlemen, I can go on and on. Not all work, all students, you don't have to have funds. It's not about money, because I'll share something with mentoring is critical and very valuable to education and development in Jamaica. Ladies and gentlemen, again, government alone should not bear the burden of education in Jamaica. Students should feel it is their duty to give back to the place that formed the foundation for where they are today. I am extremely humbled and honored to chair this great institution, a school that has a foundation for who I am today. I pause just to acknowledge the presence of our Honourable Minister, Reverend the Honourable Ronnie Thwaites. Welcome, sir. As our dear walk in, I'd want to reiterate that he hears that I'm of the firm belief that the government alone should not bear this burden. Our students must feel like we should give back to that institution that has made who we are today. I'm extremely humbled and honored to chair this great institution, a school that has laid the foundation for who I am today. Without a doubt, if it hadn't been for New Forest, the great Digicel could not have had Trisha. I only ask, it's really two things, but it's one thing of our minister. First, I personally would like to thank you for accepting our mission, for being here today. This is indeed a historic day. And second, I hold in my hand, because what I'd like to also share, that it's the first that I'm chairing. I've been on a board. I'm on Digicel board, but it's the first that I'm on a board, publication, education. So because it's new to me, I have to learn, I have to read. And I hold in my hand the Education Act. And I consider this the Bible of education in Jamaica. But guess what? It says the Education Regulation 1980. I was a child then. I look forward, Minister, to an updated Education Act as together we improve education in our country, Jamaica, land we love. Again, a very warm welcome. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman. Transgression. I will forgive you for not mentioning immaculate. I'm just putting it out there, okay? So let's add energetic and full of life to those descriptions of our chairman, although forgetful. It's okay. And we know that with Mrs. Williams Singh at the helm, we will only continue to hear good and wonderful things about New Forest. But now, here to tell us the actual New Forest story, Mrs. Sharon Anderson, the acting principal, past student of New Forest All Age, class teacher, grade coordinator, former vice principal, and now acting principal. Let's welcome Sharon.
Mrs. Trisha Singh and Mr. Singh, William Singh, President of the PSA, Samaria Sinclair, Mr. Marks, Community Relations Officer, Region 5, MOE, CEO of Digicel, Mr. Barry O'Brien and his wife and their team, members of the media, noble guests, like any other reputable institution, New Forest Primary, Junior High, and Infant has a motto, a vision, and a mission statement. Take a look. Our mission statement, every student, our vision statement, every student will strive for his or her best academic, civic consciousness, sports, culture, individual responsibility, and personal skill in a positive and nurturing environment. Our mission statement. It is the mission of the New Forest Primary, Junior High, and Infant School to encourage and recognize the excellence of students and staff, provide a supportive environment while maintaining current teaching strategies, using state-of-the-art technologies and philosophies, and in involvement of the community, empowering all students with the knowledge, skills, compassion, and integrity needed to contribute and succeed as responsible, lifelong learners in a competitive global community. I'll just give you a synopsis of the New Forest story. New Forest All Age opened in 1948 to accommodate 150 students. With its first principal being Mrs. Ross. By 1976, the number of students doubled to 300. It reached 1,200 students in 2008. Today, the school's enrollment is 968. The school became the school of choice for parents as the students began to achieve a high level of success in the examinations of the day. We still have major success in the present exams, GSAT, which is always above the national level, and the grade 9 achievement test, GNAT, from which a number of our boys have been placed at the Monroe College over the past 2 years. As the student population grew, more classrooms were erected. Presently, we have 23 classrooms, a multipurpose room, a science room, a computer lab, a math room, and a music room. The New Forest story continues. The netball and football teams dominated sports in the early years. I was a netballer, and I captained my school team for a number of years, with the teams winning many championships. That trend had continued today as our students are doing just well. Over the years, the school continued on its quest to fulfill its vision and mission statements, and the achievements increased dramatically. The guidance department has implemented a program to improve students' attendance. This will fulfill the target of 85% attendance for this academic year. The New Forest Primary, Junior High, and Infant School, since its inception, has had 9 principals, 3 of which are female. The first, Mrs. Russell. The second, who acted between 2001 and 2003, Mrs. Joy Samuda, and presently I am acting. It is worthy to note, though, that Mr. Shirley Samuda served the school as principal between 1968 and 2001. Just take a look at the slides of the school. That's our school, New Forest Primary and Junior High School. Another slide. See, we're endorsed with the Ministry of Education's approval. Our staff, our teaching staff at New Forest, we are blessed with 43 qualified teachers, Mr. Thwaites, 2 vice principals, 1 principal, and 2 guidance counselors. More than 70% of our staff are holders of first degree and of master's degree. We have embarked upon a reading program, and we have a reading room. The Reading Resource Center provides the right environment for our at-risk students who are not reading at or above their reading level. It caters to the grade 4 at-risk boys especially, and the grade 7 to 9 at-risk students. During this program, we also have our interventive reading session, which is taught every day in the first 2 periods. Our literacy and numeracy results, ladies and gentlemen. Look at it. Our grade 4 literacy, in the year 2009, we had a 64% mastery. In 2010, our incremental target was 3%, and we were right there. We were at 67%. But by 2011, it soared. We had a 91% mastery in the grade 4 literacy. In 2012, we were at 88%, and in 2013, we are at 84%. Our numeracy is making strides, ladies and gentlemen. In 2011, we had a 44% mastery in literacy at the grade 4 level. In 2012, we moved up to 58%, and by 2013, we at 64%. And I think the teachers at New Forest deserve a round of applause. Let's take a look at our breakfast program. It's an initiative school so that our infant students can have breakfast every morning. Just look at them. They're having breakfast. And we started this program in January of this year. We are also logically aware. Here is our computer lab, our teacher and students at work in our computer lab. And we are going waves. We are now greenhouse farmers. And thanks to and Digicel, our greenhouse is 200 feet by 30 feet. And we presently, I want you to look at the developmental stages. Can I go back to the first slide? This was, New Forest. We have red dirt at New Forest. We just got our seedlings. That was how it looked. But we moved. We have planted sweet peppers and tomatoes. And this is where we are now. We are in the bearing stage, and we have tomatoes and sweet peppers. And I am sure that Digicel will be giving us some mark for our produce. Our school activities have been enhanced. Our teaching learning process have been enhanced by these competitions and activities. Grade 4, a few years ago, when we looked at ways of improving our literacy, and we thought that the spelling bee competition would have been a good initiative. We launched a spelling bee championship among the grade 4 students. We also have our performing arts competition, music competition, our netball, football, and cricket competition. Look at the slide, grade 4 spelling bee. This is a moment at our school. Our theme, the race to achievement starts with literacy. New Forest Primary and Junior High Spelling Bee champion, New Forest. Look at our winners for 2013. Lishane Frey, first runner-up, Theodore Jones, and our third place champion, Brittany Powell. Last year, in 2012, our academic achievements were great. We had 2 scholarships. We had a boy who was awarded a place at Manchester High School, the scholarship, and we had a girl, Sudane Wellington, who was awarded the Aubrey Phillips Memorial Scholarship, and she's now a student at the prestigious Hampton School. Our achievements in sports have been many. Look at the slides. We are doing well in football, cricket, netball, and athletics. The under-16 cricket team continue to dominate their opponent. Boys won the Essex Valley School competition, as well as the Wheel and Wheel under-16 cricket for school. In athletics, 6 of our athletes were selected to represent the parish of Manchester in the JTA and athletic meet at the National Stadium. In the Essex Valley athletic meet, our school dominated in both the primary and junior high categories and were crowned champions. Look at our team, our football and netball. Cultural achievements. Our culture agent, Mrs. Lyle, as we receive our awards. Cultural achievements continue. We also have our environmental beautification projects. New Forest Primary and Junior High. For the past 65 years, New Forest all age, now New Forest Primary Junior High School, has been providing education of the highest quality to students of the New Forest District and surrounding communities. The New Forest School family strongly believes in the development of the whole man, one who serve and function effectively in the society. Hence, we have infused social development and culture into our curriculum. We are committed to continue catering to these needs as we strive to become a technical school in the near future. We are also high on safety and security. Our Labor Day project is to erect a perimeter wall. We are soliciting funds via a block drive, and we ask for your liberal contribution. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
Reverend the Honorable Ronald Thwaites, medication. Very special guests, our chairman, my team from New Forest, pleasant good night. As the chairman spoke of, we are registered and we have a constitution. Registered, I have a copy of the registration. I can pass it around for your perusal, along with our constitution. And as being registered under the Companies Act, as any company would have, you would have a constitution or a bylaw, right? So we have a constitution or a bylaw that governs us. When you form an organization or a company, you tend to have a vision or a mission and a mission statement. The vision of the New Forest Primary, Junior High, and Infant School Past Unit Association mission is the New Forest Primary Junior High School Past Unit Association vows to enhance the learning environment, foster creativity, and continuous support for growth and development, to partner with all our stakeholders, and to have the respect and support of the wider community while empowering students. With that mission, we have a vision. Our vision is to assist in the best possible education for all the students of the New Forest Primary, Junior High, and Infant School in a caring, happy, and stimulating environment, while nurturing every child so they can tap into their potential and become positive contributors to society. How do you become a member of the organization? once you are a past student of New Forest Junior High. Second, you can pay an annual fee of $3,000 per year. That sounds cheap, not true? $3,000 per year. And our year starts from September 1st until August 3rd of the next financial year. You can also become registered by paying a lifetime membership of $48,000. That also sounds cheap, right? Oh, okay. All right. For as stated, helping a school is not only or solely dependent on the government. We also need these past students to help them. So we have come together and we have put together some strategies to help New Forest and become a better school for our kids. First, for this year, we want to increase membership to 100 persons by the close of 2016. We also want to get our netball court fenced and our third strategy is to foster a mentoring program, and our chairman did spoke of that. You know, once the children realize that they have somebody they can look up to, they will actually continue in an excellent path. Our fourth is to improve the aesthetics of the school by implementing beautification projects. We want to build a strong partnership between our past students and the school. As we all know, New Forest is very, so we want to use some of that humidity and generate a renewable energy plant at the school. We want to build a renewable energy plant at the school campus, thus reducing the of the JPS electricity bill. So our goal is to install solar panels that will generate enough electricity to operate our computer lab. And you can take a look at our computer here. We have 40 computers in the lab. And can you imagine the electricity bill for New Forest School with 40 computers along with air conditions? So it's disappointing. Beautifully, a while ago, we saw a display of a digital sign. They are very instrumental at New Forest. So that's the computer lab along with our library. We'll be working on letting those two areas under solar panels. But how do we intend to make these a reality? Firstly, we need to sensitize the other past students of our objectives, get them to buy into what we have to sell. Then we need to plan activities or fundraisers to raise the funds that we need. We also need to solicit funds from the private and the public sectors. We already have digital on board, right? Okay. Good. I want to introduce to you my executive team, and I'd like them to come on board here as I call their names, please. You have Trisha Williams Singh. You have myself, Samira Sinclair. Our Vice President, Art Banton. Our Secretary, Mavet Honis. Our Treasurer, Trisha Spencer. Financial Secretary, Jeremy Davey. And disappointingly, let me apologize for my PRO. She's unable to make it today. Her name is Lihu Jones. So here we have my team, very enthusiastic, vibrant team. However, as I take this podium, I want to say special thanks to the persons who have registered already. And as you can see on the list, they're on there. But special thanks to Victor Simpson. Victor has placed contributions already in our account. And I thank you, Victor. Very appreciative. And I want to give special thanks to this young lady here. Trisha Williams Singh. Without her drive and her enthusiasm, we would not be where we are today. So special thanks to you, Trisha. We really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. But we're not finished. How can you make contributions to the PSA? We have a website before I go. We have a website that you can actually connect to. It's www.newforestpsa.weebly.com. You can get our constitutional registration about the executive body, how you can become a member, and how you can actually donate To make donations to the PSA, we have an account opened at the Bank of Nova Scotia, Jamaica Limited, Junction Branch, and our account number is 403470. I know Victor knows it very well. All right, and make here the contributions as we openly appreciate. All right, guys. New Forest Primary, Junior High, Infant School Past Students Association, honoring the past, shaping the future. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for this invitation. This is a wonderful occasion. As you see, quite coincidentally, I'm wearing my St. George's tie. But this is many of us have connections with the alumni associations of our high schools and our universities. Though you find in Jamaica that the high school has the significance of, that in other countries are reserved for the universities, eh? But this is different. This is a primary school which has so captured the hearts of all of you, many of you, that you are prepared to engage with the levelization, and that bespeaks the commitment that is evident tonight, and that's wonderful. There are not many primary schools that I know that have a vibrant alumni association, and it is essential that we spread the alumni participation in all of our schools. And it is especially heartening when among our 800 plus primary schools in Jamaica, there are those who are blazing the trail. New Forest, big up yourself, you sell out. I come here to do a little business tonight. And I want to be brief because we're all standing and the hour is advancing. Yours, Madam Principal, are exemplary. And yet I have a challenge for you. How are we going to get, and this involves all of us here, an 85 attendance is good, but what happens to the 15% who don't attend? We've got to send out and find those and find the reasons why they don't come to school, eh? Because we know that those who are absent are the ones who have social, academic, and other difficulties later in life. The national average is about that 85, 86%. But I would hope that in New Forest, despite the difficulties of transportation and other necessities, valid ones, that you can increase that significantly. And I urge you to take this as a challenge. The next thing is regarding your literacy at grade 4. That's a wonderful average in 2011, 90+%. Yes? You're in the realm higher than most preparatory schools in Kingston or anywhere else. But don't let it slip back into the 80s again, please. And I bet you, without knowing, that many of those who don't make the cut of mastery of literacy at grade 4 are the boys. Yes? And I challenge us at New Forest, I challenge us in the education system to be very mindful of the differential way in which boys learn to girls. We have not been as careful of that before, and unless at the grade 4 level our children achieve mastery in literacy and numeracy, believe me, we're going to have problems of remediation and of performance later on. So there's a challenge as you move towards excellence to try and inch up there. Perhaps I should say the same thing about mathematics. Your average is well above the national average, but then that doesn't say a lot for the national, does it? Jamaica is not going to proceed, is not going to succeed, and is not going to progress at the required level that all of us need unless we have a better outcome in mathematics. It is a difficult subject to teach our children in different ways than they used to, particularly, again, our boys. But I'd like to issue the challenge of improvement and also to say to you at New Forest, if you need a math specialist to help your teachers to teach differentially and teach better, we're happy at the Ministry of Education to provide you with this. Yes. Your issue with mathematics is a national issue. We have got to do better in this regard. If we are going to enter into an age where we can benefit from the kind of investments that companies like Digicel are bringing here, and that all of the other investments, both local and foreign, that we hope for ourselves. I note your aspiration to introduce solar power, and I give you a deal as long as I am in a position to do so. If you are able to introduce solar power, the money you save from the JPS bill will back into the Ministry of Education, but will be available to you for educational involvement. Can I tell you a story? At Holy Trinity High School, constituency of Central Kingston, we had a gift recently of solar panels, and they have been able over a 3-month experimental period to save almost 40% on their JPSCO bill, and that going in for extra remuneration to those who are offering additional courses and education at that school. New Forest, take up the challenge. I gather that you're a shift school. This is an issue that we need to be very serious about tonight, friends of New Forest, all. We all understand why we have shift schools. The intention was pure as the driven snow. The idea to provide good spaces for all of our children. And you know, in the midst of the despair that we sometimes will upon ourselves or see about our condition in Jamaica, we shouldn't be forgetful of this inheritance that we have, which is of universal access to education, you know. There's a place in education in Jamaica for every child at the early childhood level. There's a space, albeit a cramped one in many cases, for every child at the primary. When I went to school at St. George's in the 1950s, yes, 10% of the high school cohort had a place in a 5-year secondary school. This year it's 95%. There's progress in that, eh? Yes? For us to have the good high schools, Monroe, Hampton, Campion, St. George's, all the rest, Immaculate. Listen to this. This is for a Babel. To have success in those schools, make no mistake about it, you need efficient primary schools. And in a shift system primary school, your children are being fed at least an hour and probably more of instruction every day. Apart from the social vulnerabilities, because they are unable to all participate in the kind of excellent co-curricular activities that we have seen, and very often they have to be idle on the streets after their classes, or vulnerable when they are on the way home late in the evening. It's not an ideal situation. New Forest, what will it take to get you off shift? That is the policy of our government. That is the effort that we're making at the Ministry of Education. We want to partner with you to get New Forest off the shift as quickly as possible. Yes? You've made a statement, it didn't elude me at all, that you want to become a technical high school. Well, here's the plan. Let's look at what we really need to move off the ship. Are there primary schools around that we could decant some of the primary school students, which would make space for moving to grade 10 and 11? What facilities do you have? I listen carefully. Obviously, you need workshops and science labs in order to be able to develop into a technical high school. We want to match your ambition, provided that the facilities can be rationalized. I'm encouraging you. I would love to accompany the members of your executive and anyone else to your campus very soon. So we look at the facilities and we look at what the needs of South Manchester are, yes, to whether we are best serving our population as a single shift primary school or as a technical high school. You're the ones who are going to have to advise as to the decision, but we need to look at it not in terms of one school alone, but in terms of the entire community. I hope you'll agree. The plan of the Ministry of Education is indeed to encourage the development of technical schools. Why? Two reasons. One, we find aptitude of our young people is more technical and vocationally directed for many than purely academic. But more importantly than that, or as importantly, is the fact that we have been educating in Jamaica, without direct articulation, without direct linkage with the human resource needs of the country. And therefore, we need to recognize that Jamaica of the 21st century needs people with basic academic skills of literacy and numeracy and proper social attitudes, I'll say a word there, but also with some technical and vocational skills. And to this end, the plan is to transform our technical schools, old ones, existing ones, into STEM academies, where an emphasis is placed upon science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And these, we think, will create more persons who are ready to enter into the job market or, in fact, to articulate into tertiary institutions. So if you have that ambition, let's clear what the greatest need is and then go from there. The Ministry of Education loves partnerships. And therefore, whatever your school and its now vibrant Alumni Association does, we would love to partner with you. And let's see what we can do to match what you can do. That's the right way that pub partnerships should go. There's just a final word, and it is this. One of the greatest deficits in our educational system now, an educational system which uses up the greatest proportion of the tax dollar in Jamaica, is the fact that our social attitudes in our schools do not match the needs of wholesome outcomes and the workforce and indeed our progressive society. And therefore, Madam Principal, members of the Alumni Association, there must be no compromise in the basic indices of discipline at New Forest. You must never be cruel. That was one of the legacies of the past that we can dispense with. But things like punctuality, things like courtesy and respect are non-negotiable. And they must be modeled by our teachers, be reflected by our parents, because it is only then that our students, our children, will have a good example which to follow. And therefore, we strengthen you in that regard. We are to set high standards. We beseech members of the Alumni Association not only to contribute the shekels that are necessary for progress, but rather, whenever you can, to attend the school and simply to present yourself as persons with all your faults and deficiencies, as those who are proud of their institution, as those who can offer some mentorship to those children who are there, particularly the menfolk, but everyone really. A final word from me is this. I wonder if you understand what it is you are beginning here tonight really means. To turn back to your educational roots and to offer service is to join with Almighty God in the act of co-creation. It is to the human person to its rightful dignity and great hope. To offer your resources, whether of time or of treasure, to this venture is of great significance. What of to die rich? How can it help you? After you have made provisions for yourself, yes? Isn't it much better to use your time and effort and your treasure to lift up the human spirit, which after all is God's greatest creation? And so the Ministry of Education encourages you individually and as corporate facilitators in this venture. What you're doing is something which is of far beyond the confines of the New Forest Primary and Junior High School. God has begun a good work among you. I trust that with everyone's effort, it will come to completion. Thanks so much for having me.
Minister, don't run off. Thank you so much for those encouraging words. And I know that the team from New Forest is going to be taking you up on that offer to visit the school because they're very interested in having that changeover to a technical high school. And we've heard everyone make mention a lot about Digicel and their contribution. Well, one of the things that is innate to everyone that works at Digicel is a little thing called stretch targets. So, can bet that they will be beating those literacy grades at the end of the school year. So I'm going to invite the team to come up and make a presentation to you, a token of their appreciation. So Mavette, welcome, welcome. Mavette is a secretary of the Past Students Association at Grade 6 coordinator, and she'll also be thanking all of the people on behalf of the association that has made tonight possible.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Thwaites, on behalf of this Primary, Junior High and Infant Past Student Association, we wish to give you these gifts as a token of our appreciation.
Oh my goodness. Just touch it. Whoops. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you. Can I get a hug? Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay.